What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. What an interesting trial this has been. My anxiety is now through the roof as today has been a little more nerve-wracking. I still think the facts in the case for Kyle are favorable, but once the jury is out, it's really difficult to know or to predict exactly what will happen. But one interesting thing has been watching the left-wing media absolutely lose their mind trying with the fake outrage and the spin. I know that that's kind of their default, but what's interesting is, or what has been interesting, is just the juxtaposition that I can watch it in real time. Essentially, I'm watching the trial in real time, and then on the other monitor, I'm watching the headlines come out, and they're completely different in every meaningful way from what my eyes just saw. It's actually been mind-blowing. It's been very draining for me because it's like, gosh, how can I have to stop being angry about all this stuff. I just can't. It's like eating me up because how do they print this stuff? It's like, are they watching the same things I am? It's like, it'd be like, prosecutor shows green piece of paper. CNN writes, defense shows purple piece of Tupperware. Like, it's that bizarrely out of line. I don't understand it whatsoever. But what I do understand is I'm really thankful for all of you supporting the channel and following me here. If you're new, please do click that red subscribe button down below. I'm not going to hit you with an ad in this video. I'm just going to take it on the chin from YouTube, but I appreciate y'all being understanding about me running ads in these videos. YouTube doesn't like them. And so it allows me to not take such a hit. And I'm happy to have sponsors that are like, go ahead, run it whatever you want. So anyway, Judge is off triggering again by daring to celebrate Veterans Day. That's right. Here you have, in scrutinized Kyle trial, it's the judge commanding attention. Judge Bruce Schroeder, who has presided over it, has drawn notice for sparring with prosecutors and offering historical commentary. It's not every day that jurors in a trial applaud a witness, but that was how the final day of testimony in Kyle's trial began on Thursday. Noting that it was Veterans Day, the judge urged people in the courtroom to clap for military veterans moments after he discovered that the only veteran in the room to be the next witness for the defense, an expert on the use of force. I don't think he knew. First of all, again, let's just rewrite history, right? The judge could not have possibly known that the only veteran in the room was him. And they write that, okay? You wrote that, New York Times, clowns. But you can't know that. Did the judge say, oh yeah, actually I did a count and I happen to know that only one person is the veteran here? No. Don't think that's the case, right? Judge Bruce Schroeder, who has presided over Kyle's trial, has drawn a lot of attention. He enters court each day wearing a bulky Chicago Blackhawks coat or a Milwaukee Brewers jacket. He has sharply sparred with prosecutors in the case. He has launched into explanations on the fall of Rome and quoted Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So, the only reason, I'm sure this happens, by the way, far more than we know. The only reason that it's an outrage or whatever the case may be is because we're all watching a trial and we don't watch them very often. I admit that. Like, there are things that are happening in this trial that I'm like, wow, that's wild and crazy. And then, like, I'm watching Nick's stream of it, and there's like 8 lawyers on it, and they're like, nah, that happens all the time. I'm like, wow, they're arguing over, how to zoom in and how many pixels are there and whether or not you can use the right HDMI cable. That's wild to me. But then I turn and watch Nick's stream. Congratulations, Nick, on all the growth this week, by the way. I watch his stream, and then it's like, no, that happens all the time. So, I mean, I think a lot of us are getting, educated on the way that these trials can be, the minutia and how slow moving they are and how explosive they can be at moments. In a lot of ways, it's like watching a hockey game for me, or a soccer game, a 1-0 soccer game, 1-0 baseball game. Something explosive happens and you're revitalized, you're back into it. And then it's back to worrying about pixels. But so the judge You see, wait, hold on a second. The judge, I want to find this other story. Oh yeah, here. Rittenhouse trial requests applause for veterans, critics howl. Some critics argue that Judge Bruce Schroeder's Veterans Day gesture was inappropriate. Why? All he said was, I think we give a round of applause to the people who served our country. So? Judge Schroeder asked jurors to give a round of applause for the defendant's witness because he's a veteran. No, because it was Veterans Day. Now, maybe the fact that he was a veteran, fired off a synapse in his brain that it was Veterans Day. But this guy loves his country. His ringtone is like God Bless America or something like that. So is it really that odd that a judge whose job is to uphold this country's constitution and laws would also be pro-veteran? As a former state and federal prosecutor and defense attorney, I'm horrified at his untethered bias and unprofessionalism. Really? Really? Like, are you kidding me? They're upset about, and then you see here, this story, left-wing commentators rush to condemn judge as prosecution flounders. Some progressive commentators are coming right out and saying it. Judge Bruce Schroeder, the 75-year-old judge presiding over the trial, is an ist. The National Ally Mistel, who's admitted that each one of Schroeder's decisions may be individually defensible, put it, Schroeder is biased ist judge with his Trump rally cell phone. At one point on Wednesday, the judge's ringtone, Lee Greenwald's God Bless the USA, could be heard in the courtroom. Pretty sure that judge enjoyed God Bless the USA long before 2016. Vanity Fair also subtly aside for opting for the headline, Kyle Judge is the actual worst. Other outlets, however, less willing to make outright claims, settling instead for innuendo and euphemisms such as odd and old school to describe the public servant of 50 years who was first appointed by a liberal Democratic governor. The Washington Post, for example, ended a profile on him published Wednesday with a quote from a random Kenosha resident with no legal training who speculated that Kyle is going to get off because they gave the case to the worst judge in town. How would he even know that? How would they even know that? Moreover, while the states that Schroeder's reputation in some has Kenosha worried, the notes that Schroeder engaged in several sharp exchanges with AD Thomas Binger. It includes no descriptions of what actually spurred those exchanges or examples that support the claims of him being the worst in town. The sparring he did with Binger was because Binger tried to impugn the kid for getting a lawyer. And then Binger tried to do it again to the videographer who sent the files. Someone who's actually watched a trial, like me, knows that. But if you're just reading the headlines, you can't possibly know that. Now, on top of all of this, you just have, a sad situation where now even big tech is I've proved it. By the way, if you use Facebook, I know many of you don't, but if you do, I know a lot of you say you don't, but you do. Make sure you leave a like on facebook.com/thequartering. I'm working on growing that because, no matter how much I hate a platform, it's still important to use every available tool. Of course, I use Minds. Of course, I use Odyssey and BitChute. But anyway, when you search for his name, literally no results. Why? Is it because you're afraid people are going to find the truth? Facebook search for his name turns up nothing for users during the trial. They admitted to tweaking with the results in the past. Now, I could see them maybe saying, "Hey, we don't want any, false information getting out there, and we don't want to, or we can't police all the information, so we just turned off the search." However, that's a cop-out because they certainly have enough people to look up election news. And by the way, the overwhelming narrative on Facebook is incorrect about Kyle. So now that the trial's actually taken place and we've gotten the facts in the case, people can't get them. At least they can't share them on Facebook, which means if you're sharing articles that you wrote, Facebook doesn't like it. If you're sharing videos that you made, like I did, Facebook doesn't like it. Why? I thought Facebook wasn't a publisher. I thought they were just a platform. What a coincidence. I hope you enjoyed this video. Free Kyle, and we'll talk to you again real soon.